Life is full of difficulties and challenges, and sometimes it is the unwanted things that make us feel tired and anxious. We often feel stuck when facing problems, and the sense of not being able to change our circumstances causes our minds to remain restless. But did you know that true peace in life only comes when we learn to accept? Accepting ourselves, our circumstances, the people around us, and even the suffering we face. This is what Buddha taught. And these teachings are not just theoretical, but can truly change the way we view everything around us. Today, we will explore Buddha's teachings on acceptance, a simple yet powerful secret that can help you find peace and freedom in your soul, no matter how difficult life gets. Have you ever felt like you are always racing against time, always trying to change things you cannot control? If so, this video is for you. Before we dive into the details, I invite you to watch this video until the end, as I believe the teachings in this video will open up a new path for you to live peacefully, no longer swept away by worries and frustrations. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below, because sharing is an important part of helping us understand each other better and live more closely together. Part 1. Accepting yourself. Accepting yourself is the first important step towards achieving inner peace. However, in modern society, we are often pressured by standards and expectations from family, friends, society, or even ourselves. We easily fall into the trap of feeling inadequate, imperfect, and unworthy of the good things in life. But in reality, accepting yourself is the key to freeing yourself from anxiety, self-doubt, and finding inner peace. So, what does accepting yourself really mean? Accepting yourself doesn't mean we stop changing or stop improving. Rather, accepting yourself means acknowledging your flaws, mistakes, and imperfections, and using them as a foundation for positive change. Buddha taught that true peace doesn't come from achieving perfection or being flawless, but from understanding and loving yourself, no matter what. We often overvalue perfection, forgetting that perfection is an illusion. Buddha once said, "Everything in this world is impermanent, and that impermanence is part of life." Acceptance is not about resignation, but recognizing that each of us has flaws, and that is what makes us truly human, authentic, and connected to each other. Accepting yourself is the way to live with your shortcomings without criticizing or feeling guilty. In Buddhism, the ego, the self, is often the root of suffering. We always want to build a perfect image of ourselves, always wanting to be loved and accepted, but when we fail to achieve that, we fall into disappointment. However, accepting yourself is the liberation from selfishness, allowing you to live in harmony with yourself and others. Imagine, if you look at yourself through a mirror that is not fogged up, you will see a true image, unhidden, and not deceiving yourself. When you accept the cracks in your soul, you no longer need to seek perfection from others or from society. You will learn to love yourself correctly and appreciate what you have, including your flaws, mistakes, and experiences from the past. One of Buddha's important teachings is, look at yourself as you would look into a mirror. This means we must view ourselves objectively, not through the lens of judgment or self-doubt. Buddha taught that when you understand and accept yourself, you will no longer feel incomplete because you have recognized your own value in every situation. Accepting yourself also means forgiving yourself. When you make mistakes, instead of beating yourself up or feeling guilty, remember that those mistakes are part of the learning and growing process. Buddha once said, "Those who cannot forgive will never find peace." Only when you forgive yourself can you forgive others and live a life free from the burden of past mistakes. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop striving. Buddhism doesn't teach that we should live passively or stop trying. On the contrary, accepting yourself means understanding that everyone has the potential to change, but change must begin with loving and accepting yourself. If you don't love yourself, you won't be able to change or grow in a truly sustainable way. Think about those times when you felt like a failure, or those moments when you felt you weren't good enough. Buddha taught that when you accept yourself in those moments of weakness, you will realize that those challenges are opportunities for you to learn and grow. No one is perfect, and it is the cracks within you that make the process of growth beautiful. To truly accept yourself, you need compassion for yourself. Love yourself as you would love someone dear to you, without criticism, without devaluation, but accepting and understanding that each of us is imperfect, but we all deserve to be loved and appreciated. Have you ever found it difficult to accept yourself? Please share your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. This not only helps you connect with others who share similar thoughts, but also creates a supportive community on the journey of self-acceptance. Part 2. Accepting circumstances. Accepting circumstances is just as important as accepting yourself when it comes to finding peace in life. Buddha taught that life is full of changes, and while we can't control everything happening around us, we can control how we react to those circumstances. In life, not everything will go the way we want. There are times when we face challenges that we didn't anticipate, such as losing a job, experiencing conflicts in relationships, or even losing a loved one. Such circumstances can make us feel powerless and hurt. However, accepting circumstances doesn't mean resigning yourself to them, but it means facing them with clarity and equanimity. Buddha taught that human suffering originates from non-acceptance. When we cannot accept what is happening, when we fight against reality, we fall into suffering and cannot find peace. Buddha once said, "Why do we suffer? Because we do not accept what happens in life." When we struggle with our circumstances, when we feel angry, sad, or disappointed because things aren't going as we wish, we will not find inner peace. One famous story of Buddha is when he lost his beloved mother, and he had to go through a great deal of suffering. However, instead of drowning in grief, Buddha learned how to accept loss as part of the cycle of life. He understood that death and loss are inevitable parts of life. It was this acceptance that not only helped him overcome pain, but also helped him find tranquility in his heart. Accepting circumstances is a process of not only living in the present, but also living harmoniously with what life brings. Acceptance doesn't mean we stop trying to improve our circumstances. Rather, it is understanding that every moment, every situation in life has its own value and lesson. Sometimes, accepting circumstances also means letting go of control. There are things we cannot change, and continuing to force ourselves to change them only leads to exhaustion. Buddha taught that letting go doesn't mean giving up, but freeing the mind from the burdens of worry and stress. When we stop resisting what's happening, we feel lighter and more at peace. One factor that helps us accept circumstances more easily is gratitude. Being grateful for what we have, grateful for what we've experienced, both good and bad. When we view life through the lens of gratitude, we realize that every circumstance has something valuable to teach us, and we'll be content with what we have. Think about the difficult situations in your life that you've gone through. Have you ever resisted, felt frustrated, or disappointed when things didn't go as planned? Buddha taught that when you accept these circumstances, not by fighting them, but by learning from them, you will see that it is these very challenges that offer you the opportunity to grow, learn, and evolve. Acceptance doesn't mean we don't have the right to wish for change in our lives. We can still make efforts to change our circumstances, but in the process, we must learn to accept the things we cannot change. Buddha taught, "No one can change what is past, but we can change how we respond to it." Accepting circumstances not only helps you reduce anxiety, but also enables you to live a more peaceful and fulfilling life. When you accept everything happening in your life, you will learn to live harmoniously with everything around you without being overwhelmed by negative emotions. Share your thoughts on accepting circumstances in life. Have you ever gone through challenges where you learned the lesson of acceptance? Part 3. Accepting those around us. Accepting those around us is perhaps one of the most difficult yet incredibly important lessons in life. Buddha taught that acceptance is not only limited to ourselves and our circumstances, but it also extends to the people around us. Accepting others doesn't mean agreeing with everything they do, but rather accepting their differences and not judging them. In society, we often fall into the trap of comparison and judgment toward others. We want them to live the way we want, to share the same viewpoints as us, and to do what we think is right. However, acceptance is the ability to recognize and respect the differences in others without imposing our own opinions on them. Buddha taught that each person has their own path, and that path cannot be the same for everyone. We all have unique experiences, thoughts, and emotions, and these differences enrich and diversify the world. If we only accept people who think and act like us, we will create a closed society, lacking understanding. Accepting others also means we do not judge them. Sometimes we feel uncomfortable or disagree with others' actions or viewpoints, but instead of criticizing or distancing ourselves from them, Buddha teaches that we should open our hearts with compassion and tolerance. We cannot change others, but we can change the way we treat them. Buddha also taught that forgiveness is an essential part of acceptance. We may be hurt by others' actions, but instead of holding on to anger or resentment, we should learn to forgive. Forgiveness doesn't mean accepting wrongful actions, but it means letting go of negativity in our hearts so we are not harmed further. Forgiveness frees us from negative emotions and brings peace. One well-known story in Buddhism is about Angulimala, a notorious murderer whom Buddha redeemed. When Angulimala followed Buddha and asked for forgiveness, Buddha didn't criticize or judge him. Instead, he taught him about compassion, forgiveness, and helped him find enlightenment. This story clearly illustrates that acceptance and compassion can help people change and find a better path. Accepting others also means respecting their freedom. Everyone has the right to live their life as they see fit, as long as it does not harm others. When we accept others, we learn to respect their personal freedom and not impose our own thoughts or actions on them. Furthermore, accepting others helps us develop patience and understanding. When you learn to accept, you not only learn how to live harmoniously with others, but also learn how to be patient and listen. Buddha taught that true compassion is not just about showing love, but also understanding and empathizing with others' suffering, which helps us build meaningful and lasting relationships. Accepting others doesn't mean agreeing with all their actions, but it means accepting them as free individuals with their own mistakes and differences. When you accept others, you will realize that you no longer feel conflicted or have unnecessary tensions. You will feel lighter and more at peace with everything in life because you have learned to live harmoniously with those around you. Share your thoughts on accepting those around you. Have you ever encountered people where accepting them was a big challenge? Leave your story in the comments below the video. Part 4. Accepting suffering and challenges in life. Accepting suffering and challenges is one of the deepest lessons taught by Buddha. In life, suffering is inevitable. Each of us faces difficulties, challenges, loss, and sometimes both physical and emotional pain. However, the important thing is not to avoid suffering, but to accept and face it with courage and mindfulness. Buddha taught that suffering is a part of life and cannot be separated from it. While this might make us feel pessimistic, in reality, accepting suffering will help us overcome it and find peace. In fact, suffering is an opportunity for us to learn and grow. Buddha once said, "Suffering is an inseparable part of the path to enlightenment." It may be difficult to face suffering, but by accepting and confronting it directly, we can develop wisdom and a deeper understanding of life's nature. When we accept suffering, we no longer feel burdened by it. Instead, we see it as an opportunity to learn and take control of our emotions. Sometimes, suffering and challenges come from external factors, but there are also times when we create our own pain through negative thoughts. Accepting suffering is not just about facing external difficulties, but also understanding and controlling the negative emotions inside us. Buddha taught, when you truly understand suffering, it will no longer control you. One important way to accept suffering is by learning to let go of attachment. We often cling to things, relationships, or unrealistic expectations, and when those don't work out, we suffer. Buddha taught that when we let go of attachment, we will no longer feel pain. This doesn't mean giving up, but living in the present, accepting things as they are, and not letting failures or challenges control our lives. You may have gone through difficult times in your life, but when you look back, you'll see that it was those very challenges that helped you grow and understand yourself better. Accepting suffering is part of freeing yourself from worries and fears. And from there, you will find peace in your soul. Buddha also taught that suffering and happiness are not two separate things, but they often go hand in hand. When you understand that suffering is part of life, you will learn to appreciate moments of happiness more and not let them pass you by. Accepting suffering helps you discover the depth of life, realizing that it is often in the most difficult moments that you can find clarity and wisdom. A typical example of accepting suffering is the story of Buddha during his ascetic practices. Throughout his journey to enlightenment, he endured many hardships, from fasting and living under harsh conditions to facing psychological challenges. However, it was through this suffering that he realized that accepting suffering and letting go of personal desires was the path to enlightenment. Accepting suffering doesn't mean becoming passive or not trying to change circumstances, but rather the ability to accept what cannot be changed and to live fully, appreciating each moment that life offers. Share your thoughts on accepting suffering in life. Have you had experiences where you learned the lesson of acceptance and personal growth? Please share your story in the comments below the video. Part 5. Accepting change and continuous growth. Accepting change is one of the most important lessons Buddha teaches in life. The world around us is always changing, and people are no exception. Every moment in life brings new opportunities, challenges, and sometimes losses. However, change is inevitable, and accepting it will help us live more peacefully and happily. Buddha taught that everything is impermanent. This means that everything around us, including ourselves, is constantly changing. Change is a natural part of life, and when we accept change, we are also accepting the truth of life. When we try to stop change or deny it, we will feel suffering and frustration. Accepting change doesn't mean giving up or resigning, but rather learning how to adapt and find new opportunities in every change. Buddha taught that instead of resisting change, we should make friends with it and use change as an opportunity to grow and evolve. Change is what helps us learn, discover ourselves, and improve our lives. In life, we often feel challenged when facing change, especially when it doesn't go the way we want. We may fear seeing everything around us change, from our work, relationships, to our health. However, accepting change is the key to finding inner peace, because when you no longer fear change, you will feel freer and more at ease. A typical example in Buddhism is the story of Buddha when he abandoned his royal life. He faced the greatest change of his life, from living in a lavish palace to an ascetic life filled with hardship. But it was through this journey that he found the path to enlightenment and realized that change is the only way to reach profound and eternal truth. When we accept change, we are also accepting ourselves. Change doesn't only come from outside, but also involves a transformation in our mindset and awareness. Accepting change is also the way you continue to grow, learn, and perfect yourself. If you remain rigid and unwilling to change, you won't progress and will remain stuck in the same place. Change also brings new opportunities in life. Every time one door closes, another one opens. When you accept change, you will see that each change is an opportunity to rebuild your life into something better. Sometimes, what seems like a failure can actually be a turning point that leads to great success in the future. Buddha taught that do not fear change, but embrace it as an inevitable part of life. Life's challenges, no matter how difficult, are just a part of the process of growth. Change helps us discover our hidden potential, and shock provides valuable lessons that help us grow stronger. Accepting change doesn't mean we stop having ambitions or goals, but rather understanding that change is part of the journey, and every step along the way has value. Buddha taught that growth never stops, and change is the driving force that keeps us moving forward. Share your thoughts on accepting change in life. Have you ever felt fearful when facing change? Please share your story in the comments below the video. Part 6. Accepting death and impermanence. Accepting death and impermanence is one of the deepest lessons taught in Buddhism, and perhaps the most difficult one we have to face. Death is inevitable, and whether we are ready or not, it will come for all of us. However, Buddha teaches that accepting death is an essential part of living a meaningful and peaceful life. Buddha taught that everything in this world is impermanent. Nothing lasts forever. Death is a part of impermanence, and if we can learn to accept death, we will understand the true nature of life. Death is not something to fear, but a natural part of the cycle of birth and death that we all must go through. When we accept impermanence, we will appreciate the present moment more. Buddha taught that if you live with the awareness of impermanence, you will live with gratitude and mindfulness. Every moment becomes more precious because you understand that nothing is eternal, and every second is a gift. Death also helps us understand the value of life. When you realize that life does not last forever, you will no longer worry about trivial matters or engage in meaningless disputes. Instead, you will know how to enjoy each moment, love those around you, and live with compassion and kindness. One of Buddha's profound teachings is, whenever you look at a person, remember they too will depart as you will. This helps us live not only with love, but also with appreciation for those around us, understanding that they, like us, will not be here forever. Accepting death helps us love and cherish life more than ever before. Buddha taught that the fear of death is the source of much suffering. We cannot avoid death, but we can prepare ourselves to accept it calmly. If we live each day with the awareness of impermanence, we will not fear death, but instead, we will know how to live fully in this life, knowing that each moment could be our last. Accepting death also means accepting change in life. Death is the greatest change we must face, but by accepting death, we can face all other changes in life more easily. When you understand that everything has a beginning and an end, you will no longer fear the challenges or fluctuations of life. A story in Buddhism tells of Shariputra, one of Buddha's great disciples. When he was gravely ill and realized death was near, he was not afraid or anxious. Instead, he accepted the impermanence of life, calmly awaited his departure, and spent his remaining time sharing Buddha's teachings. This story shows that accepting death and impermanence helps us live in peace and without fear. Accepting death and impermanence does not mean we live in fear or anxiety, but rather understanding that life is precious and we should live each moment fully. When you realize that life is limited, you will feel that you can live more meaningfully and appreciate what you have. Share your thoughts on accepting death and impermanence. Have you ever felt afraid of death, and how did you deal with it? Please share your story in the comments below the video. We have explored together the teachings of Buddha on acceptance, from accepting ourselves, our circumstances, and the people around us, to accepting suffering, change, and death. Every aspect of life provides us with an opportunity to learn, grow, and ultimately achieve inner peace. Acceptance is not about resignation or giving up, but about understanding and being willing to face what cannot be changed. When you accept yourself, you will feel freer, as you no longer have to struggle with your flaws or shortcomings. When you accept your circumstances, you will no longer feel helpless, because you understand that every challenge brings valuable lessons. And when you accept those around you, you will create a harmonious and loving space in your life. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop striving or stop trying to change things that aren't ideal, but rather it is about living with compassion and wisdom. Recognizing that not everything in life is within our control. True peace comes from knowing how to respect everything that is happening, accepting impermanence, and living fully in each moment. Let these teachings inspire you to live a peaceful life, free from worries and anxieties. Together, we can learn how to face life with strength and tranquility, without fear, without worry, but always cherishing and loving everything around us. Thank you for watching this video. If you found the insights shared in this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and share the video with your friends. And feel free to leave your thoughts and stories about acceptance in the comments below the video. We look forward to hearing your thoughts and experiences. Continue your journey to explore Buddha's profound teachings for bringing peace into your life. See you in the next videos on Buddha's True Way.